You need to put headset because otherwise you will not hear anything. Entends ce qu'on a dit, particulier. Hi, how are you doing? Aloïs, you need to put it. Il faut mettre ça. Ah oui. Ouais, c'est juste pour eux. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Are you okay? Can you hear me? Vous m'entendez? Okay. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the IDFC pavilion here at COP30 in Belém, and thank you for joining this session. I'm Audrey Ramel, Program Manager at the Global Fund for Cities Development, and I'm really delighted to moderate this session dedicated to banking the last mile, empowering subnational development banks for local climate action. Today, we will explore a crucial question. How can national and subnational development banks bridge the gap between global climate finance and local action? Our session will be structured in three parts. First, opening remarks, then a moderated panel, actually two moderated panels, and then closing statements. So to open, I would like to introduce you our two first speakers that will talk about why banking the last mile matters. First of all, Carlos de Freitas, Executive Director of the Global Fund for Cities Development, and Nicola Picciottino, Secretary General of IDFC, the International Development Finance Club. To start, Carlos, I would like to ask you please to share with us why last mile banking matters for COP30 and localizing climate finance.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
I'm gonna.
Too loud? Too loud? No, it's okay. Okay, perfect. I wrote my speech down for once because I'm so tired with the heat that I don't know what I'm saying anymore. So let me start where delivery actually happens in our territories. And with the public institutions built to serve them. I'm speaking of subnational development banks. SDBs are public mission-driven intermediaries anchored in place. They lend in local currency, manage risk with public purpose, blend resources, prepare projects, and keep intermediary cities in the game. When they are strong, national goals become city portfolios. When they are absent, pipelines stall. Over a decade ago, when few paid attention, FMDV chose to bring those institutions into full light. With the government of Cameroon and FECOM, which is actually represented here by Mr. Biolay, we helped launch the Global Alliance of Subnational Development Banks at the UN Secretary General's Climate Action Summit in 2019. Since then, momentum has grown across Africa through RIAFCO in the Francophone space. Now, wait, yes, sorry. Hello? Oui. So, you can hear me now? Can you hear me now? Yes, perfect. Yeah? No? Yeah? Sure? Yes? Okay. So, with the help of RIAFCO, the Francophone network of SDBs, and we have actually their actual chair, Mr. Sekou Touré, the Director General of Hanafik in Guinea, in the room. Thank you for joining us. And we, of course, created the African Alliance of Subnational Development Banks, the branch that is the mirror network of the Latin America and the Caribbean branch of the Global Alliance. So, as you know, the world is pivoting from policy to delivery. At COP30, the Global Alliance is recognized within the official granary of solutions and integrated in the renewed Global Climate Action Agenda, including its activation groups and plans to accelerate solutions. That recognition is not ceremonial, it's operational. I'm so French. It signals that subnational finance and the institutions that make it work are now central to credibility. Our proposition is simple and ambitious. Design finance where delivery happens. Empower SDBs as the connective tissue of a system of public banks with national and multilateral development banks in order to move capital reliably from global to local. That means tailored regulatory frameworks for SDBs, dedicated guarantees and local currency facilities, pooled and off-balance sheet vehicles for cities that won't reach conventional creditworthiness in time, and long horizon technical assistance so innovation can replicate. So this is not a side reform, it is how the system finally works for people. Commissioned assets, dependable services, livelihoods protected and made more prosperous. As FMDV, I'm very proud of this community of system builders, our SDBs, our partners, our national and multilateral partners that are part of the Global Alliance, and the national governments that are supporting this advocacy and implementation. Together, we have moved from SDBs from the margins to the center of the finance conversation. I will leave the floor now to my colleague here and host, the director of IDFC. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Carlos. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very happy to welcome you on our pavilion. It's the pavilion of the members. As you can see, IDFC, the International Development Finance Club, is a club of 27 public development banks, national and regional. We are actually the biggest provider of climate finance in the world, issuing around $200 billion of green financing every year. And of course, very happy to host this session together with my dear friend Carlos and FMDV on the role of subnational institutions and the importance of financing the municipalities through subnational public development banks. So, of course, when we talk about public development banks, we hear a lot about the multilateral development banks that are, of course, very important considering their size. But when you do want to finance municipalities and local actors, you need the subnational development banks and the national development banks on it. And it's critical, and maybe more importantly, here in Brazil, I don't know if you know this, but in Brazil is the country where you have the most numerous public development banks in the world, 25 public development banks. You know one, obviously, everybody knows it, it's BNDES, member of IDFC. So it means that 24 public development banks are subnational, are regional development banks that are on the ground, close to the sectors and close to the municipalities they finance. And our role as IDFC and more broadly as Finance in Common, the global coalition of the 536 public development banks, is to make those local actors being recognized are critical to finance the last miles. And of course, this is the advocacy. So I'm very happy to have this session and to discuss with all of you on how to better finance, how to better reinforce the capabilities of those actors. And of course, I don't want to be too long because we have a lot of very important partners that will speak today. But I wanted to tell you about one program that we are developing within IDFC. Is the NUCA program, the National Development Bank's Urban Climate Action, financed by the German government and the IKI branch. It's launched in 5 countries, South Africa, and I'm very happy to have DBSA here with my dear friends that will speak, of course, about their experience, but also in Mozambique, in Indonesia, in Brazil, obviously, and in Colombia. This program is brand new, and it aims to reinforce the capabilities of the public development banks to better finance municipalities. But, and maybe more importantly, because when we are discussing about the necessity to have more funds to strengthen the project preparation, I think what is key in this program is the fact that we have funds to go in the municipalities to help them build better bankable projects. Because if you have the capacities within the banks to finance the project, but you don't have bankable projects, then you have a mismatch. And so this program is new, is innovative, and I really, really believe a lot in it. And I believe we will be able to scale it up and to go in more countries because we have the possibility to target the supply and the demand side at the same time. I don't want to be too long, but of course I will explain later if you want some specificities of this program.
Can you hear me? Okay, perfect. So thank you so much, Nicolas. And now I'm very delighted that we can share here this moment today in Belém. So I would like to give the floor to Carlos de Freitas, to officially announce the launch of the Banking the Last Mile casebook that you can see just behind Carlos, and you can already use the QR code here. Carlos.
And I guess you have on your fans, the ones that have been distributed, the QR code also, because we are very modern, thanks to Gabriela there. No, well, this is a world premiere, so you are very, very, very VIPs. I won't be long. This is an effort from the whole team, from the Global Alliance, the regional branches of the Alliance, Latin America and Africa. What we wanted to do is to make sure that we give visibility to actually the instruments, the mechanisms that are put together in those institutions that are not known at the global level. That's very important because those institutions do not have an international mandate. They usually are not present here. We've been working a lot, and some of them are here, and we really thank you because it's very hard for them to get to those international scenes. We made sure that they would come and join the conversation with the multilateral development banks, with the national development banks when they are present. Even the national development banks are not always present at those tables, and IDFC has been doing a lot for that. For them to bring their innovation. So you will find here a series of cases from Latin America and Africa. Some of the cases will be present here in the next two tables. Download, read it for once, because it's a very good one. Plus, it's only 2 pages per cases, so very short. And you will learn a lot on what's happening really on the ground. And that's it, basically. And now we can go to the rest of the sessions because I think we are late.
Thank you very much for launching the casebook, Carlos, a reference tool to replicate and scale solutions from Africa and Latin America that you can access again through this QR code. Thank you so much, Nicolas and Carlos, for this introduction session. And now I would like to invite the first panelists for the first 2 panels. So Monica Vergara, Félix Yvan, Lebo Seperepere, and Jean-Aloïs Biwale. Please, if you can join us to the stage. Parler plus proche. Ok, ça marche. You have to keep it, yeah. Sorry. Thank you so much. So let's now dive deeper into practice to explore how SDBs are delivering climate action on the ground, what tools and partnerships make it possible, and how we can collectively scale these models. To start, we will focus on accessing diverse sources of finance with Monica Vergara, Director of Sustainability at Findeter, and also with Félix Yvan, Chief Strategy Officer for the Rwanda Green Fund. Monica Vergara, I will ask you the question in English, but you will answer in Spanish, and Carlos will translate. So Findata has a diverse range of funding sources, but since 2019, it has had a particularly successful experience accessing capital market instruments. Could you tell us more about the issuance of sustainable bonds and how this experience has strengthened Findata, both in terms of financial service offerings and in advancing its internal mechanisms, including the recent creation of the Sustainability Directorate that you lead? Thank you so much.
Gracias, gracias. ¿Más? Ok, escuchan. Gracias por invitarnos y gracias por esa pregunta. Los bonos sostenibles son un orgullo para Findeter. Efectivamente, Findeter, que es la banca de desarrollo territorial más importante de Colombia, viene adelantando un recorrido muy importante en temas de sostenibilidad y precisamente la misión del bono sostenible ha sido el hito más importante de esa transformación. ¿Quieres que termine? En 2019 tomamos la decisión estratégica de ingresar al mercado de capitales sostenibles con un propósito muy claro y era no solo seguir financiando proyectos de infraestructura, sino financiar proyectos que generaran desarrollo con impacto social y ambiental en los territorios. Nuestra primera emisión de bonos por $100 millones ha sido un éxito rotundo, lo que confirma la confianza de los inversores o el interés de los inversores en financiar proyectos con propósito y la confianza que tienen en Findeter. ¿Sigo, Carlos? Y al final termina, sí. Efectivamente, la emisión por $100 millones fue absolutamente todo un éxito y digamos que eso nos abrió la posibilidad de entender que la sostenibilidad no solo podía ser un eje de financiamiento, sino que tenía que ser un plan estratégico de la entidad. Y en 2023 creamos la Dirección de Sostenibilidad, que tengo el honor de liderar y a través de la cual articulamos todos los temas de gobernanza, temas ambientales y sociales de la entidad. El bono no solo nos permitió, no solo fue exitoso porque se pudo colocar muy bien, sino porque nos abrió la posibilidad de abrir líneas que fueran verdes y ofrecer no solo los productos tradicionales que Findeter ofrecía, sino líneas verdes y de eficiencia energética para que entidades territoriales, empresas, pudieran presentar proyectos banqueables que tuvieran interés climático. Seguimos ahora, los otros beneficios sin duda fortaleció nuestra gobernanza, fortaleció nuestras capacidades técnicas y la empresa entendió, la entidad entendió que el ADN hace parte de nuestro negocio. Uno de los otros de los logros en los que enfocamos nuestros pilares es en la taxonomía de nuestros productos para poder hacerlo medible y cuantificable. Nos apegamos a la taxonomía verde colombiana y al cumplimiento de los objetivos de desarrollo sostenible. Creamos un marco de los bonos para que fuera auditado, para que fuera transparente y nos diera credibilidad en el mercado, y trabajamos en un sistema de medición de impactos y reporte que responda a los estándares internacionales. Finalmente, para nosotros lo más importante es que nos mantiene motivados para trabajar en nuestra cartera sostenible para que sea más amplia y que de alguna manera desde las bancas de desarrollo nosotros podamos cumplir con los compromisos climáticos los compromisos climáticos que nos hicimos desde la banca y que se ratifican en espacios como este.
Uy. Gracias por todo. Entonces, sorry. Indeed, Findata is the Territorial Development Bank of Colombia. It has come a long way in terms of sustainability, and the issuance of sustainable bonds has been one of the most significant milestones in that transformation. Since 2019, we made a strategic decision to join the sustainable capital markets with a very clear purpose: to mobilize resources that not only finance infrastructure, but also drive development with environmental and social impact across the territories. Our first sustainable bond issuance for around 400 billion pesos was a success. We achieved higher than expected demand, confirming both the market's interest in purpose-driven projects and investors' confidence in Findeter. These resources were allocated to projects in water and basic sanitation, education, and hospital infrastructure, sustainable transport, renewable energy, and climate risk management, many of them in intermediate municipalities or areas with lower technical capacity. In other words, we helped bring sustainability to the regions that need it most. From that experience, we understood that sustainability had to evolve from being just a financing axis to becoming an institutional strategic pillar. That is why in 2023, Findeter created the Sustainability Directorate, which I have the honor of leading, and from which we coordinate all the environmental, social, and governance (ESG) matters of the bank. Today, we are strengthening our management through three major advances. One, an internal taxonomy of green and social projects aligned with Colombia's green taxonomy and the Sustainable Development Goals. Two, a sustainable bond framework validated by external reviewers, providing transparency, confidence, and traceability of the use of the funds. Three, a monitoring and impact reporting system allowing us to measure environmental and social benefits according to international standards, such as GRI and TCFD. In addition, this experience with sustainable bonds opened the door for us to expand our range of sustainable financial products. Today, Findeter not only offers traditional credit lines, but also green credit lines, energy efficiency products, and technical assistance so that municipalities, public companies, and territories can structure bankable projects with a climate focus. And beyond the financial results, sustainable bonds transformed us internally. They strengthened our governance, helped us build technical capacity, and inspired us to make sustainability part of the DNA of every area of the bank. In summary, this experience marked the beginning of a new stage for Findeter. We moved from financing infrastructure to financing sustainable development with measurable and lasting impact. And that, without a doubt, motivates us to continue innovating, to keep expanding our sustainable portfolio, and to contribute through development banking to the global climate commitments reaffirmed in spaces such as this COP30. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Monica, for sharing with us this diverse range of funding sources. And now we will move to the Rwanda Green Fund. So Felix Ivan, so the Rwanda Green Fund has successfully mobilized resources from a wide range of partners, from international development banks to bilateral agencies, channeling them through its two main facilities, Intego and IREM Invest. Could you share with us how this blended structure between public and private financing has enabled Rwanda to scale up climate investments? And can you tell us more about your strategic partnership with the Development Bank of Rwanda? And also, what are your lessons that you could share with other countries or subnational development funds from your experience? Thank you.
Thank you so much. I hope I'm audible. So, as you mentioned, my name is Felix Ivan, and I am from Rwanda. I work for the Rwanda Green Fund, which is the climate financing vehicle for the country. Just before starting, I'd like to thank, of course, for the invitation from IDFC and from Nicola for attending our high-level dinner yesterday, and also sending warm greetings from BRD. If you look up on the board, BRD is our sister institution. It's the Development Bank of Rwanda. The acronym in French, so it's Banque Rwandaise de Développement, which is actually a member of IDFC. So I'll touch a little bit about what the Rwanda Green Fund is, and then touch on the facility that we have, which is the private sector facility. That's really a blended finance approach, and we could find interesting for different countries to be able to replicate and think about how to really support the private sector in its green transition. So at the Rwanda Green Fund, our journey has always been about proving that climate action is both impactful and investable. And we mobilize money over the years for the last decade from multilateral partners, traditional partners, foundations, philanthropies, and channel them into catalytic climate and nature projects across Rwanda. So we right now focus, of course, within our country. So as we evolved, one of the key innovations has been the creation of our, and now we rationalize our investments in industry is through two distinct facilities. So we have one for the public sector and one for the private sector, right? Which together form the backbone of what our blended finance approach is. So for the purpose of this session, I will talk about the private sector facility, which is Ireme Invest. So Ireme means quality. I think I let the bystanders. Sorry, I let this delegation pass out of respect. Great. Back to business. And thank you all for being here when this unbearable hit. You know, climate change is real, as you can tell. So, yeah, so about Ireme Invest, it's our green investment facility. As I mentioned, it is designed to crowd in private capital and de-risk climate smart businesses. And really, it represents our shift from being mainly a grant maker to making and becoming a catalytic investment fund that uses blended instruments. And I will touch on that. So to deliver Ireme Invest, we established that partnership with BRD, in which within the facility, there's two sub-facilities. So what the fund does, we are the project preparator facility, in which we are really supporting early ventures. So really nascent small businesses and playing the role of a de-risker here by providing grants and recoverable grants, and as well as technical assistance, because what we believe is one problem is just sometimes not financing. It's really about making sure that these businesses are viable, making sure that they're able to prove that the concept works and that it's something that can be scalable and viable to later on grow. So that's really the role of the project preparator facility. And then you have BRD on the other side, the bank, which is providing concessional financing below the market rate. So currently, to borrow in Rwanda, it's about 18%. So within the facility, businesses are able to borrow at 12%, right? So that's quite a substantial lower rate compared to business as usual. And so this business has allowed us to structure financing that works and that's able to take projects from what we call feasibility to bankability, right? And it doesn't necessarily say that all businesses have to go through that journey. Some businesses in the ecosystem exist. They can directly tap into, you know, financing directly from debt financing from the bank. But maybe again to go maybe into details, what we always sort of advocated for, you know, I think from both facilities is to be able to believe in not reinventing the wheel. So the way it works within the facility is that we're using our governance system. The BRD has a strong governance system as well that they both use. How we made in the middle is we have, before any project is approved, we have sort of I would say it's a joint committee that meets, that's able to sort of understand that what they're trying to scale is going to be viable. I mean, they want to have an idea because they have the experience, they have the know-how of what could be potentially investable in the future. And as well for us, it's a lesson learned when we are in the joint. I mean, when we are at the approval stage at the bank as well, and understanding what they approve, it makes our job more knowledgeable in the sense that what we need to be able to look at early in some of these ventures, right, to make them viable. So we've been able to invest in about 115 projects so far, right, from a wide range of different sectors, agriculture, circularity, and the likes. But to answer maybe your question about 3 key lessons from my experience that may be relevant for other countries, subnational funds, right, is first of all, institutional readiness matters. So having a credible, nationally owned financing vehicle, so with strong fiduciary and technical systems. So as I mentioned, the fund has a really strong, we have really strong systems in terms of financial systems, procurement, monitoring and evaluating, because one thing donors are looking for is they want to have a trustworthy partner which they're able to channel funds, especially when it touches the private sector. We know about the issues of greenwashing and the likes. So you got to be able to have this institutional readiness really early on. And that will definitely impact your success in the long run. So for us, both at the bank, sorry, both at the fund and the bank is something that matters. Number two is blended finance works best when it's fit for purpose. So it's not just about mixing capital and doing blended finance. It's about having the right instrument at the right stage for the businesses. So what we do is we have businesses sometimes that can ask for, because as I mentioned, we give grants and recoverable grants. So it's almost like a ladder. Recoverable grants are more than, because we want to take back that money, and it's a revolving facility within the project preparatory facility. So what we try to do is always assess the stage at which the businesses are and really think about the right instrument and the right amount to give them. So it's really fit for purpose. It's understanding the needs and availing the right capital and the right technical assistance. And then we believe in the power of partnerships. The partnerships are really catalytic for us. We have started this journey between us and the bank, the BRD, but it's going to go beyond that. What the government is, so this is a government initiative, but what it wants to do is to be able to grow this in the financial sector, right? So we want to be able to teach and to leverage what the financial sector, the capital that exists within Rwanda from commercial banks, to be able to actually lend as well to these businesses. But it starts with us creating a pipeline, creating the right ecosystem, making them, coming up with lessons learned, sharing it with them. So already in Rwanda, we have a green taxonomy, very similar taxonomy, very similar to what the colleague said. It is new, it is nascent, but it's going to be able to really categorize and best filter the projects that we invest in. We have the Central Bank of Rwanda has sustainability guidelines. So really, the ecosystem is moving as quick as us to be able to create the right ecosystem to be able to help this and potential green ventures to grow and to scale in Rwanda.
Thank you so much. And I think it's really interesting to hear from you that indeed there are key lessons. And one of them is indeed to have the right instrument at the right time. And also, thank you for sharing this inspiring partnership with the bird. I think it's really a key lesson. So thank you so much. And now it's my pleasure to welcome Lebo Seperepere, Group Executive Programs at DBSA, so the Development Banks of Southern Africa, to talk about technical support and capacity building. So Lebo Seperepere, the DBSA has developed a truly end-to-end approach to infrastructure development, accompanying municipalities from planning to and preparation, to financing, implementation, and long-term maintenance. Could you tell us how this integrated model helps ensure that infrastructure projects are both climate resilient and financially sustainable? And what lessons might this offer for other development banks looking to strengthen the project pipelines and local capacities of cities and regions?
Thank you. I hope I'm audible. Let me first start and thank the IDFC family for inviting us to this session. It is a pleasure indeed to be here. I mean, we're always interacting with the colleagues, but perhaps maybe for the benefit who may not necessarily who we are a development bank owned by the South African government, wholly owned, operating in the sub-Saharan, with, of course, our genesis from South Africa, but then later rolling out into the rest of the region. We focus into various sectors, including economic as well as social infrastructure that we support in that regard. Indeed, as you had noted, we play throughout the entire development life cycle, including the financing. And we believe that it enables us to take along with everyone, as opposed to coming in when the projects are ready and are bankable in that regard. We've started with this journey in supporting particularly the municipalities, then with the focus into the secondary municipalities, therefore putting aside the metros. And the rationale in that, you find that in the metros, there's generally technical capacity and ability, including financing of project preparation, as it were. And when you look with South African context, almost have just about 2/3 of the population living in the secondary municipalities. And therefore, we found it very imperative that we support the municipalities at that level. And the secondary municipalities typically tend to have challenges with the technical capability and or raising of the necessary financial resources required. So we support those with infrastructure plans right through. And then from development of the infrastructure plans, then we move into the actual project preparation to then help bankable, identify projects that are bankable and then get them bankable. And then the easy part is comes within the financing of those projects and munis. And we've done that. If you look, if also looking into our book, almost 40% of our book is actually municipalities, because we believe strongly in the municipalities, as it were, from a DBSA point of view. Pardon me. So we really believe in the municipalities that we need to support. And then the next phase of it, we've got an implementation capability. Within the implementation capability, we then talk about the actual development or the implementation of the actual projects. And also we're looking into the maintenance of those. And in more recent years, we've been putting a lot of emphasis on the maintenance, because that ensures, one, that the assets that you would have are there, but also they continue to enhance financial sustainability of the municipalities, particularly if you look at the finance or income generating assets, as it were. In certain cases, they may not necessarily be directly income generating, but they are critical enablers of critical, for an example, road infrastructure, as it were. So in many cases, you find that it is actually entry to various economic regions, as in that regard. So the maintenance is quite critical as well, and we put a lot of focus on that. And I think much more recently, there's been various initiatives that we've been working on. NUCA being one of those facilities that we've been working on, and again in there, we're focusing on the secondary municipalities, and we're quite delighted that we've been working with some. And I think about a week or so, they were here in Brazil. Various mayors were here that we're taking them along with that. And of course, this is an initiative that is supported by IKI in that regard. And we're hoping that with this facility, we would also continue to help strengthen the municipalities from climate resilient development of urban projects, as it were, and also with an effort to reduce the carbon emissions within the various municipalities, as it were. So we're quite delighted in that. And again, similar facilities. We've got one with the Global Environment Facility that is also looking into ensuring the city's resilience, as it were, in that regard. So, and also looking at some of the resource efficiencies that we're looking into, and some of the projects, for an example, with the city of Johannesburg, we're looking into a waste to energy or waste to biogas tap energy that we're looking into in that regard. So we continue to work with that. Various other initiatives that we've had that are supporting indirectly, although they are at a national level, but they are there to support municipalities. We've looked into the Water Partnerships Office that is looking into various projects, including the water reuse program. In that, one would look into it from a resilience point of view. As many may know, that South Africa is a water scarce country, and therefore every little drop that we can save, we will save in that regard. So with that facility that we have with the GCF, it is largely targeted at the municipalities, because in many cases, municipalities are actually the agencies that are delivering the actual water infrastructure and water services to the population, as it were. So we're working very well with the municipalities with those projects. So these are some of the initiatives, and included in all of these initiatives that we're working on, with being GCF, and NUCA. At the core of it, there's project preparation, and technical assistance, as it were, to start with. So that's a critical element to then start seeing the resilience within the municipalities, as it were. And we also strongly believe that you can never do this alone. Partnerships are critical. We continue to collaborate well. I mean, one with the global multilaterals, as it were, but also at home, we continue to work with the government and various agencies within there to resolve that. So collaboration, as it were, is important, and it comes at various levels. For an example, in certain cases, you may need to look into some of the reforms. And actually, I would like to look at it as initiatives to stimulate innovations rather than reforms, as it were. So we work on those with the government to then look into how could we innovate within the policy and legislative framework so that we can create an enabling environment for our municipalities so that they can also access some of these funds and also technical capabilities, as it were. In the latter part of the question that you're asking, how could others do? I think in our view is that, as I said, we strongly believe in project preparation and as well as the planning. So it is therefore imperative to participate really at the upstream of this at a concept. However, that being said, it requires a lot of patience, as it were. Given that we are a development bank, we understand that that to be able to achieve these, you need to be patient in that regard. Not only through provision of patient capital or risk capital, but also in that in many cases, because providing technical assistance, so you're then often dealing with individuals that may not necessarily know, and therefore you need to take them along as you work along. But it's once you have gone through that first hoop, you then start to everything else starts to fall into place in that regard. And we're quite appreciative that, for an example, even with the NUCA process, we're then starting to see it's not only about the bankers only coming in through, but it's also bringing in some of the key decision makers, such as the mayors, the municipal managers, as it were, because these are the key decision makers in the process. So if asking them to approve something that they don't understand, easiest answer is to say no in that regard. So again, take people along with, collaborate, and start to work with these initiatives from inception or at an early stage of the development in that regard. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think it's very interesting to see how you are able to ensure that indeed projects are both climate resilient and financially sustainable through a preparation process, support, and also thank you for highlighting the importance of partnerships at different levels. Now, we will move forward and go to FECOM, so in Cameroon. Jean-Alois Biwale, Director of Cooperation at FECOM, so the SDB of Cameroon. So FECOM's creation of the Guichet Climat in last year, actually, represents a major step toward localized climate finance in Cameroon, providing subnational governments with direct access to funding and technical tools for mitigation and adaptation. Could you present the Guichet Climat, so the window, the climate window, and tell us more about how this climate window is helping to mainstream climate action at the local level and what steps FECOM is taking to scale it up, particularly in relation to developing new instruments like green bonds and pursuing accreditation to the Adaptation Fund? Thank you very much.
Thank you. I will first like on behalf of the Director General of FECOM to thank the FMDB for their support, IDFC and all of you to be here this afternoon. FECOM is the special fund for equipment and intermunicipal intervention of Cameroon, a central actor in decentralization and local project financing, connecting territories to climate and development finance. As a public institution, we play the role of national financial intermediary, facilitating both public and private financing access for local governments. Our mission is to translate national policies into concrete actions on the ground, supporting municipalities and regions in the implementation of adaptation, resilience, and sustainable development projects. We act as an intermediary between the states, donors, and local governments, providing a practical response to the financing needs at the local level, especially in the context of rapid urbanization and climate change challenge facing our country. In 2024, we launched the Climate Window, a dedicated financing window for the climate projects of local governments. This window has already supported over 180 climate projects with 55 projects pre-selected, representing a total of $10.5 million in funding. We created this window to address the urgent needs of local governments in terms of climate resilience and risk management, while ensuring transparent and efficient management of funds. The climate windows also serve as an experimental tool, testing innovative financial models that can be replicated and scaled up, offering a model for other African countries. We are currently in the process of accreditation with the Adaptation Fund, with the goal of becoming a direct funding channel for local climate projects, enabling municipalities and regions to access climate finance quickly and effectively. Our goal is to enable territorial actors to access these international climate resources to tackle the urgent challenges related to climate adaptation. We want this Adaptation Fund accreditation to become a key lever for creating a resilient financing model that will help build investor confidence and mobilize more resources for local projects. The Finance Your Cities Cameroon country platform was officially launched in June 2020 and 25 during GECOM 25, with the participation of MINDEVEL, Ministry in charge of decentralization, MINDU, Ministry in charge of housing, FECOM, and Local Government Association, UCCC, CVUC, and ARC, the Association of Regions, and FMDV, and many international donors. This platform is a strategic tool for multi-actor governance, aiming to structure climate finance localization at the national and local level, bringing together ministries, local governments, and donors. The FECOM, as the National Public Bank, plays a central role in this platform, coordinating the actors, preparing projects, and managing the required funds for the territories. The goal is to structure a multi-level financing architecture capable of mobilizing both public and private resources to support climate resilience, adaptation, and sustainable development projects in local territories. We aim to create a FIC, Finance Your Cities Fin Hub, which will act as a motor for preparing bankable projects and for aggregating investment portfolios aligned with international agendas, but also national strategies. Our ambition is to make Cameroon a model for localized financing, replicating this model at the African level and globally through partnership with other subnational development banks, while sharing our experiences and best practices within the Global Alliance of Subnational Development Banks hosted by the FMDV. The Global Alliance provides a peer learning network, allowing us to learn from others and develop collective responses to the common challenges of localized climate finance. This collective approach enables us to strengthen the impact of the FIC, Finance Your Cities Cameroon platform, which is now recognized by international frameworks such as the Sevilla Platform for Action, aligning with initiatives like the Green Climate Fund, the Baku Belém Roadmap, supported by the COP30 acceleration plan. The FECOM is actively engaged in connecting territories to global finance, climate finance, offering innovative and local solutions to the challenges of rapid urbanization and climate change in Africa. We strongly believe that localized finance is essential to ensure territorial climate resilience and to address the challenges of rapid urbanizations across Africa. Trust initiatives like the Climate Windows and the FIC Financial Cities Cameroon Country Platform, we are putting in place the necessary mechanisms to ensure that local governments become key players in climate finance. We are working to strengthen the architectures for localized climate finance, aligned with the global strategies, the SDGs, and commitments made at financing summit like the FIX, FFD4, and the COP30. Our role is to contribute to systemic reform of climate finance, integrating territories into global finance in a way that is both effective and sustainable. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jean-Louis. I think it's very interesting to see that you implemented this window climate and also the Financial City Cameroon Country Platform for localizing finance. And we are looking forward to keep working together and to implement the country platform. So now I would like to thank you all, and I would kindly invite our next speakers. So thank you so much. So now I would like to invite Madame Fatimetou Abdelmalik to the stage, Monsieur André Godoy, and Nicolas Picciotino. Thank you. So thank you so much for being here today. So now we will focus on enabling partnerships and advocacy for collective action with Monsieur André Godoy, Executive Director of ABDE, ABDE, the Brazilian Development Association, and also Monsieur Nicolas Picciotino, Secretary General of IDFC. Monsieur Godoy, so ABDE has an outstanding track record coordinating Brazil's national development finance system since 1962. Could you share with us how ABDE is currently working to strengthen the regulatory and legislative framework for subnational development banks in Brazil? And for instance, through initiatives such as the Parliamentary Front of the National Development Finance System. And from your perspective, what are the prospects for international resource mobilization for SDBs, especially in light of the discussion taking place here at COP30? Thank you so much.
Hello, good afternoon for all. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to introduce ABDE. ABDE is the Brazilian Development Bank Association. So in Brazil, it's a very big country. So we have 35 finance institutions for development. We are talking about some national development banks, some commercial banks, and each state of Brazil, we are 27 states, has a finance institutions that are responsible for the development of this state. So the association has more than 60 years, almost 60 years in fact, and it has developed along all these decades, depending of the characteristic of the Brazilian financing system that has changed along this period. Nowadays we have some public institutions, some development banks, and some credit unions too. So the credit unions are private institutions that became, in the recent years, an arm of those development banks to manage to reach the ground. Because those development banks, imagine, they are in Rio de Janeiro, in the capital, and we need some institutions that are in the small cities in the whole area of the country. Nowadays, the association is responsible to represent those old institutions within in parliament, in the federal government. We try to bring money, we try to bring funds for each of those institutions in the states, because we understand that more than that's very important, of course, the official policies, the official public policies, but it's necessary to become more direct to each state. So that's the one of the responsibilities of the association. The other one, of course, it's a regulatory. Regulatory is very important. We have a very strong central bank in Brazil, so we need to translate all the public policies that is happening in each one of these states to the central bank, and how to mobilize to reform some tax regulations that could improve the capacity of those institutions. It's another arm. The third one is the advocacy. We live in a democracy in Brazil, so we need to be very close to the parliament, because each day, every day, we have news coming from the parliament. So you need every day to try to translate these ecosystem that's not easy to understand, the ecosystem, the finance ecosystem, especially the public development banks ecosystem, to the parliament, so they can understand a little bit more, and the importance, and what those banks do, and how we can manage to reach another fields in the development field, if I could say. The third one, it's very important to develop the institutions themselves. So we promote a lot of capacities, we promote trainings, and we were responsible in the last decades to introduce all the sustainable development goals as part of the strategy of each one of those institutions. So it's a goal that we reached in the last years. And the fourth, that's very important too, it's studies. So we promote, and we manage to promote studies and among those institutions, because we understand that knowledge, it's very important to convince the parliament, to convince the society of the importance of those banks. So if I could say, if I could tell the story of the association, it's exactly like that. Like in the past, it has another meaning, another objectives, and nowadays, I think the fourth most important things that we're already doing exactly like that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I think it's very interesting to see also how it's aligned with what DBSA is doing in terms of creating platform of DFIs. Sorry, so I think it's thank you, very inspiring. Thank you so much. And now we will move and come back to Nuka and to you, Nicolas. Sorry. So could you tell us more about the IDFC Nuka peer-to-peer learning approach, and how is this reinforced by the support of National Association of Banks? Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, so I presented in my introductory remark the program Nuka. I wanted to insist on the necessity and the importance of peer learning. It's at the center of the strategy of the club, IDFC, and I will develop a little bit more what we are doing within Nuka. Within IDFC, the objective of gathering those 27 development banks and to better finance climate, biodiversity, and SDGs alignment is, of course, at the heart of the priorities. And for this, we realize that exchanging between public development banks diverse as KfW, AFD, BNDES, or DBSA, for instance, it provide a lot of strengths because you can share your experiences and based on those experiences you can build better capacities. So every year we provide trainings for our members, one on climate, one on biodiversity. We are now trying to provide training also on SDGs alignment and this is part of the strategy of the club. It's one of the pillars. In NUCA, when we designed a NUCA, we wanted also to emphasize the necessity to build on peer learning. And so in the design of NUCA, we have one international peer learning session per year and one national peer learning session by country. And you know, we have 5 countries of intervention, so it's 6 sessions of peer learning every year. And we are also organizing webinars that are really also critical and that are available for free. It's also part of the strategy of IDFC. All the peer learning sessions that we are organizing, all the trainings are available for free on our website. I take only one example. It's more on biodiversity, but it's super critical. KfW, they design a biodiversity toolbox that help strengthen the biodiversity financing within the banks. And it's composed of 5 different modules and videos. And everything is available for free, and you can download those videos. You can, of course, train your team, and you have also all the documentation available for free on our website. And just to end this and to make the link with the association of public development banks such as ABDE, we are in close link with you in the design and implementation of the Brazilian part of NUCA. We work also with ALIDE a lot. We work with ADFIAP, with ADFIMI to also engage more the members. And just to close, the first international peer learning session organized by NUCA is going to be organized in Bogota from the 6th to the 8th of December with all the partner banks, so the 5 partner banks, C40 and CCFLA.
Thank you so much. I think it's very useful for NDBs and SDBs present here today to know that all these resources are available. So thank you so much. And now we will move to local and regional governments. And it's really a pleasure to have you here today, Madam Fatimetou Abdel Malik. So as the voice today of local and regional governments, and sorry, I will introduce you properly. So you are the president of the Nouakchott region, vice president of FMDV, the Global Fund for Cities Development, and also president of UCLG Africa. So thank you for being here today. So as the voice of local and regional governments, could you tell us how Nouakchott is advancing climate action and what financial models the region has put in place to support it? And I will ask also the question in French because you will answer in French, but you have the translation here on the screen. So, en tant que voix aujourd'hui des gouvernements locaux et régionaux, Madame la Présidente, pouvez-vous nous présenter de quelle manière Nouakchott, la région de Nouakchott, œuvre pour l'action climatique et quels sont les modèles financiers mis en place par la région pour y répondre? Merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup, Audrey. Bonsoir à toutes et à tous. Je m'excuse, je vais parler français parce que mon anglais est très mauvais. Alors, d'abord, pour ceux qui ne connaissent pas Nouakchott, capitale de la Mauritanie, c'est une ville très vulnérable. C'est une ville où le désert vient rencontrer la mer. Donc, c'est une ville à l'image des autres villes africaines qui s'urbanisent rapidement, donc de façon exponentielle. Et donc, ce qui rend à la fois l'urbanisation un défi, mais une opportunité aussi pour nous en tant que gestionnaires des villes, de repenser nos villes, de pouvoir les planifier de façon intelligente, à les rendre résilientes, durables et inclusives. Nous sommes, on ne le dira jamais assez, nous sommes le premier niveau de réponse en tant que gestionnaire des villes, en tant que ville. Et étant donné cette situation dans laquelle nous nous trouvons, nous avons pris conscience de cette situation complexe face au changement climatique parce que la ville de Nouakchott comme j'avais dit, reçoit de plein fouet les impacts du changement climatique. Et pour cela, on a entrepris un certain nombre de mesures. On a pris le choix de faire une planification intégrée,
really
climat intégré.
this
C'est bon?
uh,
C'est bon? C'est bon? Alors, on a pris le choix de faire une planification climat intégrée avec l'élaboration d'un plan d'accès à l'énergie durable et climat. Donc, avec une planification
to
intégrée des C'est bon? C'est bon? Ça fait partie des aléas des climats, des changements climatiques. Alors, donc, une planification aussi des solutions basées sur la nature, un plan de développement de mobilité urbaine durable, et j'en passe. Alors, pour cela, nous avons aussi pris l'option de créer, là nous avons empiété le pas au département de l'environnement pour créer un fonds d'adaptation au changement climatique au niveau de la région, un fonds régional d'adaptation au changement climatique. Et c'est dans une optique de mobiliser des financements pour le climat, mais aussi de servir de modèle parce que Nouakchott est un laboratoire.
seen the possibility and the threat from the secret.
Je l'invite à venir à Nouakchott comme ça. Donc Nouakchott est un laboratoire.
To get.
Il y a une interférence en fait. This one. Changement de batterie.
Donc Nouakchott est un laboratoire. Donc c'est là où nous testons des projets, nous finançons des études et nous avons des modèles qu'on peut reproduire dans d'autres régions, sous-régions, au niveau à la fois régional, national, mais aussi au niveau africain même, j'allais dire. Alors, il faut dire que les collectivités locales ont besoin de financement. Et le fonds régional n'est qu'un exemple parmi d'autres parce qu'à terme, nous sommes appelés à œuvrer et c'est un peu ça qui va servir de locomotive pour le département pour créer ce qu'on appelle les plateformes pays pour le financement climat. D'autres exemples sont importants au niveau de l'Afrique, d'où je viens. Nous avons entendu tout à l'heure l'exemple du FECOM qui est extrêmement un très bel exemple au niveau du Cameroun qui accompagne les collectivités locales. J'ai eu l'honneur d'avoir présidé une fois le jury d'une session du FECOM où on a attribué des fonds importants pour accompagner les villes pour mettre en place leurs projets, pour réaliser leurs projets. C'est très important. Nous avons aussi au niveau de ce GLI Afrique, nous avons un autre exemple qui est l'ATIA. Donc c'est une agence qui est dédiée justement à financer les collectivités locales et régionales africaines. C'est encore un projet, je dirais, qui n'a pas encore vu, qui n'a pas encore réalisé, qui est là, qui a déjà dans le fonds, dans la caisse elle-même, qui a déjà collecté un certain nombre de fonds, mais qui n'est pas encore allé pour réaliser au niveau des collectivités locales. Il faut dire que dans nos pays, parfois, nos collectivités n'ont pas accès, ça varie d'un pays à un autre, selon les textes. Certaines collectivités n'ont pas accès à l'emprunt. Et ça, c'est un handicap. C'est un handicap en soi. Ce qui fait que nous appelons vraiment, non seulement au nom des GLI Afrique, au nom du FMDV, au nom de tous nos partenaires, pour qu'on renforce justement ces fonds climat pour la mise en place des plateformes pays pour, dans une optique de financer le climat et de pouvoir servir de modèle dans nos pays pour appréhender davantage la problématique des changements climatiques. Nous avons créé au niveau aussi de la région un autre fonds qui n'est pas dédié au climat, mais qui est dédié à la formation professionnelle, à contenir les jeunes qu'on a pu former, formation professionnelle, des perditions scolaires, des jeunes qui n'ont pas pu atteindre l'université. On les a formés et puis là, c'est un fonds qu'on a créé qui peut les accompagner pour mettre en place leurs ateliers, pour avoir des équipements, etc. Donc ça, c'est un fonds qui est moins important que celui qui est dédié au climat. Donc, en somme, nous militons aussi pour que, en tant que collectivité locale et régionale, pour que désormais, qu'il y ait le bilatéral entre les collectivités et les fonds de développement. Ça, c'est très important parce que le développement ne se fera pas en dehors d'un territoire. Donc, pour qu'on puisse vraiment développer les territoires, il faut qu'il y ait des accès, des passerelles pour avoir des fonds importants pour mettre en place nos projets et assurer le développement et appréhender la problématique des changements climatiques. Voilà, de façon très ramassée. Je suis désolée encore une fois, je ne parle pas anglais. Voilà. Merci.
Merci beaucoup, c'était très clair, Madame la Présidente. And I think what we can highlight is that indeed local governments and regional governments are very key in climate action, and that it's really necessary now for all stakeholders that they can support local authorities to implement new climate funds and also support the importance of country platform for localizing finance. So thank you so much. Merci beaucoup, Madame la Présidente. Now, thank you so much all for this very interesting and inspiring session. Merci beaucoup pour vos interventions. And I would like to invite Nicolas to stay here. Thank you so much. And Carlos de Freitas, Executive Director of FMDB, to join the stage for closing the session. Thank you so much.
Ok, merci beaucoup, Carlos. Merci. Ok, il va traduire. Ok. J'interviens à double titre. Financement des collectivités locales de Guinée et en même temps président du RIAFCO. Le RIAFCO est l'Institut africain des collectivités locales. Ah bon? C'est pas bon?
Allô, c'est bon? Je crois que ça va être bon. Rapidement, DG.
Je dis que j'interviens à double titre. D'abord en tant que DG de l'Agence nationale de financement des collectivités locales de Guinée et en même temps président du réseau des institutions africaines de financement des collectivités dont fait partie le FECOM, qui regroupe 15 membres, dont 14 pays. Et nous avons essayé de mettre en place ce réseau en vue de mutualiser les efforts pour l'accompagnement des collectivités locales dont nous assurons la gestion. Et je vais prendre un peu le cas spécifique. Là, ça se coupe? Oui, c'est ma position. C'est bon maintenant? Peut-être c'est ma position. Là, je vais parler là-bas. Ah, d'accord. Donc, je disais que l'ANAFIC, en tant qu'agence de financement, gère 3 fonds qui sont destinés à financer les besoins au niveau des collectivités. Puisque nous sommes en décentralisation, nous mettons en priorité la gestion participative de la chose, tenant compte de ce qui se fait de façon participative. Donc, nous avons une période récente remarqué que dans les besoins des collectivités, il y a beaucoup plus mis accent sur le béton. Et nous avons, avec l'appui de certains partenaires techniques et financiers, notamment la Banque mondiale et l'Agence française de développement, développé des outils. Aujourd'hui, nous avons développé 9 outils climatiques que nous avons partagés avec les collectivités pour leur permettre de changer un peu le paradigme, de quitter le béton vers la prise en compte aujourd'hui de ce à quoi le monde est confronté, notamment le climat. Et c'est ce qui fait aujourd'hui que au niveau de ces collectivités de renverser un peu la tendance, parce que priorité est plus aux changements des effets climatiques, de développement local et des programmes annuels d'investissement qui nous sont soumis pour financer. Nous avons développé aussi derrière un mécanisme d'incitation, c'est-à-dire plus la collectivité exprime des besoins vers le climat et allant vers l'inclusion sociale, plus elle reçoit des ressources pour pouvoir financer les actions de développement. Et donc, ça ne va pas être très long, je sais que le temps fait défaut, mais c'est pour vous dire qu'au sein du RIAFO, dont nous avons aujourd'hui la présidence pour les 3 prochaines années, et la vice-présidence est assurée par la Tunisie, la deuxième vice-présidence par le Burkina, la troisième vice-présidence par le Burundi. Le FECOM assure l'audit, le Sénégal assure les finances, et le secrétariat général est assuré par Madagascar. Et donc, c'est pour vous dire quand même que nous avons aujourd'hui c'est que la plupart des pays qui sont aujourd'hui de RIAFCO sont des pays francophones. Donc, nous voulons maintenant diversifier notre intervention pour aller vers des pays lusophones, anglophones, pourquoi pas arabophones, pour que l'Afrique, d'une seule voix, à travers ce réseau, s'exprimer et trouver les moyens nécessaires pour accompagner la collectivité dont les besoins vont de plus en plus croissants et comme nous le constatons, surtout le fait de changement climatique qui est aujourd'hui en face de nous. Donc, chacun, tant bien que mal, de trouver les ressources nécessaires pour aller vers la concrétisation des besoins exprimés par la collectivité.
Non, moi, j'ai pas vous traduire.
Hello, thank you very much. So the discussion he presented here was about what he is doing as a general manager in the country, in the Republic of Guinea. He is the general manager of ANAFIC. ANAFIC is the national institutions in charge of financing communities and local authorities. And also he is the chair, so the president of the RIAFCO. The RIAFCO is a big network in Africa of financial institutions in charge of mobilizing resources for different communities and local communities like collectivities. So for his actions as a general manager, he's supporting the development of local communities in light of climate change, how to mobilize resources in adaptation, mitigation, and also fight against different loss and damages that are happening in different locations. He also mentioned that in the instrument that we are using in Guinea, there is an incitative approach of mobilizing resources by the communities themselves. The more you present projects and ideas on climate change combat or fighting against climate change, the more he is getting the resources to drain to that community. So this is a kind of incitative way. On the other hand, the RIAFCO, the institutions he is as a president on in the global continent is more than 100% French-speaking countries. Now they're opened to various countries, English-speaking countries, why not Hispanic countries, and also Arab-speaking countries, those who are on the ground, to sustain actions on mobilizing resources and financial finance against this climate change that's happening in the continent. I think I've been short and perfect. Thank you very much.
And I would like just to add that actually the ANAFIC is funded with interesting model, which is a tax on mineral exploitation at the national level. So they get a huge amount of funding coming from the big enterprises that are exploiting the soil of Guinea. So this is a very interesting case. And you find the case on RIAFCO network and on ANAFIC in our publication that is now available. You have the QR code on your fans, so please download and read. Nicolas.
Thank you so much, Carlos. I wanted to first thank our fantastic panelists. I think we had more than 1 hour of very interactive sessions and a very good representation of the world of the last mile, going from municipalities, association, coalitions, subnational development banks, national development banks, members of IDFC, and if I have maybe 3 points to retain is of course the importance of partnerships, and those discussions are really critical to help us strengthen the importance of all those actors of the subnational development banks, and the importance also of peer learning. And for this, I wanted really to commend the casebook. I think it's really a great example of disseminating what is important and what worked, because in the peer learning, what is important is to showcase, of course, the errors, but maybe more importantly, what it works to be scaled up. So really huge congratulations to you, FMDV, for this casebook. And maybe the last word is that we need to have in mind that without those local actors, all of them, the municipalities, the SDGs, the coalition, we will never implement the SDGs. So let's continue to work as we do, and congratulations to all of you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Nicolas, for hosting the session. National and subnational development banks, we need to work hand in hand. So we'll see what IDFC and the Global Alliance can do together. That's a call for later. No, Nicolas said it all. I think that the best thing that happened in these past years with the Finance in Common system and summits is that PDBs have now a strong role at most of the in most of the international scene. The different spaces where we need to be, we are there. SDBs have been recognized in the G20 heads of state declaration here in Brazil. We are now at COP with different sessions that are being supported by the president. These are my bad wave of energy. But what is mostly important is that you connect, see how you can work together, and in part be part of the conversation at the global level. This is very important, that you keep mobilizing your CEOs to come to join the conversation, to be here, to negotiate, to find the right partners, because if you are not here, then nothing happens. It's not in your countries that you will be supported, especially in the global documentation, the global agreements, and the localization. Of course, you have a key role because you do know about your clientele, about local and regional governments, and if you are not here to go with them along with their own advocacy, then choose a very strong partner that knows of multilateral development banks, and they need you to be on their side to make sure that something happens in terms of localizing finance. I would like to invite you to a session on Friday, very close to here, on the Cities and Regions Hub. We will have at 9:30 a very high-level session where we will have several ministries, ministers coming, local and regional governments, CEOs of subnational development banks and national development banks, to showcase country platforms for localizing finance, which is a formula that adding to the huge amount of opportunities for ministries at the national level, some national development banks, national associations of mayors to work together to build the financial architecture we need to localize climate finance. And I would like to finish with the fact that the GCF, just before COP30, has launched the guidelines for locally led climate action, which is a very, very strong signal for countries, for development banks, to make sure that they go and try to implement those LLCA guidelines, to make sure that we have a financial architecture at the national level to get the climate finance to the local level of action. This means that, and that's always telling, and they do not agree, but I'm saying that the most bureaucratic international fund has been able to set to send a very strong signal just before COP on a set criteria for access to climate finance at the subnational level. So any bilateral development agency or bank is supposed to adapt those criteria and work with local governments and work with subnational development banks. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and again, thank you all for being here today, and thank you for to our panelists. Maybe just two last words. First of all, I would like to invite you tomorrow morning. There will be here on the IDFC pavilion a session dedicated to National Platform of DFIs as integration spine of country platform for localizing finance. So please join us tomorrow morning at 10:30. And then please download the casebook. It's a very rich tool and very inspiring. So please download it. Thank you so much. And let's take a picture. Thanks.